What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Tim Sports Talk. And today we got another Talking with the Enemy. And today we got Ryan from Packernet. Thank you for joining me. How are you doing today?
Doing good, man. I'm happy to be here. I wish I had a nicer, more fancy background, but this is my green screen. It just is what it is.
I literally had the same setup up until like 2 weeks ago, or 2.5 weeks ago, where I just had a big green screen in my background, and I would have my own logo back there, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, I literally just put this together like 2.5 weeks ago. What up,
Nice.
Hassan? How's it going? Awesome. All right, well, let's go ahead and hop right into these things. I like to ask these general questions first. How did you become a Green Bay Packer fan?
I was actually born and raised in Illinois, believe it or not, so Bears country, but my dad was from Wisconsin, and so he just always raised me to be a Packer fan, and I didn't realize it was weird until I started going to school and everybody was picking on me. So that's pretty much it. Dad was a Packer fan, and I grew up watching Packers games, and the rest is history.
What part of Illinois?
Suburbs of Chicago, Hanover Park, Bartlett, all that kind of
I went to
those
school
areas.
in Rockford. That's why I asked.
Oh, okay.
Rockford,
Yeah,
Illinois.
right down the
Yeah.
street.
Yep. So, but yeah, I went to college out there. So yeah, that's town or that city is pretty much split. Because it's northern Illinois, so there's and it's like an hour away, or like maybe an hour and 15 minutes away from Chicago, and then maybe like 2 hours away from Green Bay. So like it's like split Green Bay
Right.
and Bears fans, especially now that Green Bay has usually done a lot better since like 6 they went to the Super Bowl, the Bears, and then it's been like all Packers since.
Oh, yeah.
then. Awesome, cool. Did you have any background in football or any other sports?
No, I try every year to get into stuff. I'm going to try again to get into the NBA since that fired back up, but every time I try, I can't get into it. Now, with the Bucks winning, I'm hoping I can get a little bit more interested, but I just saw they got blown out and then my interest already tanked, but I'm going to keep trying.
The Bucks did win the championship. That's Giannis. There you go. Bringing
Yep.
it since the 70s was the last time they went. Anyway.
Yeah,
sure.
I wouldn't know.
Fair enough. How did your channel get started?
So
I should say.
I guess I'm just very opinionated, and so I said, you know what, I'm going to start a blog. I'm going to start a Green Bay Packers blog, and I'm going to give it 1 year, and I'm just going to put all this information. If anybody shows up, they show up. If they don't, they don't. Through that, I kind of get tied into a couple different things, but the problem is I realized I have a lot up here, and the only thing in my way is the writing. It slowed me down, and I would have like 7-part series, and then I get bored writing it by the time I get to part 4, and I would just abandon it. And so I just started hearing about these podcast things, and I was like, you know what, let me just try that. Let me just rant into a microphone and just talk about it rather than typing it all out. And it works a lot better with my personality and how I work. And turns out people want to listen to it, so it's been great.
Awesome. Cool. How long have you been doing it now?
I started it when Rodgers broke his collarbone, so whenever that was. It's a long time ago. I've got
20, something like that.
20,
somewhere in there.
almost 1,300 episodes so far. It's been a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. There you go. Cool. Well, that's awesome. All right. Sweet. All right. So, picking on the Packers a little bit, because probably that's the only time I'm going to be able to do this, is and it's a funny way to do it. But anyway, so in honor of you guys seemingly to lose every NFC championship game, there's a classic question or a classic debate. Would you rather be close to the chip and lose, or would you just rather be at home, miss the playoffs, and say screw it?
Yeah, I hear that a lot with people saying, when you get there and then you lose, you get a lot of people saying, you know what, the Super Bowl is all that matters. So it doesn't matter whether you go 0-16 or 17 now or go to the NFC Championship game and lose. I think that's kind of silly because as Packer fans, it's like, you telling me you haven't been celebrating this whole regular season, like you haven't had a good time, you haven't been partying and cheering and all that. Like that means nothing all of a sudden because we lost the NFC. You're just going to forget all the good times and all the great memory. I mean, and that's the thing. You as any fan of any team, it's like, dude, remember back in 2014 with that pass and all the good stuff. We have a lot of good stuff as Packer fans. Yes, I won a Super Bowl, but we have a lot more good stuff than a lot of other teams, and I think we should be grateful for that.
Fair. Yes, I was one of those that it's like it would just kill me if I got to the Super Bowl and lost. And so I'd rather just stink. But, of course, we've had 29 years of stink. And you know what? I'll take a few good times.
No, it's nice. You should try it.
Well, we have an investigation going on.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
owner.
Once that's done, I'm sure you'll be great.
It's a tough time to be a Washington fan.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie to you, there's so much going on, and it's just a cherry on top that we suck. Right? We can't get the quarterback. We just can't get anything. Our defense was supposed to be like top 3, and they've looked literally top 32. Like, it's just been horrible there. And then, of course, we just botched our favorite player, Sean Taylor's retirement jersey celebration. That was horrible. The fan attendance is trash. We lost our name. I said in one of my videos, it's like, I'm never leaving. I won't. I put way too much investment into being a fan of this team. But, man, they make it hard. They try. They're trying hard. But anyway, that's a good answer. I agree. Now, as you get older, I guess you get more wise. That getting close, and even though you don't win it, I do agree is better. All right, very, very serious question here. Does Aaron Rodgers own the Bears?
Yes. Next question.
Next question. Yeah, of course.
That was easy.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. For the Bears.
It's so. I mean, it got to the point where I loved it, but even I was like, "Ooh, that stings." that was brutal. That was a little harsh, Rodgers. Screaming and swearing at like some 70-year-old lady in the audience. Like, come on, man. I gotta kick them while they're down.
Is that how old she was? I didn't even see who the.
I don't know. I made that up, but he said it's funny because everybody was flipping him off. But he decided to go to the podium and be like, I don't know, there was some old lady flipping me off. Like, just lie and say it was some big 6'7" dude and you got in his face.
Well, he does that every day, right?
That's
defensive
true,
ends and everything. But no, that's...
Once you get an offensive lineman in front of you, you can start talking trash to the defensive lineman.
Andrea Eastman says, go Packers. Yes, this is one of our resident Packers fans. Thanks for stopping by, Andrea. Yeah, I actually got a few Packers fans because Tom Grossi randomly, like rated me.
Oh, nice.
Halftime one of his games that he ended up. I was like at like 4 viewers or something like that, and he like threw me up to like 250. So I got some like 90.
He's got a lot of pull, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I thought I invited him on to the podcast first, just to let you know. You weren't the first one I invited.
I'm used to it. I'm usually about third. I was surprised. This is my second Washington interview. I was like, really? I don't know what's going on. Everybody else must just be saying no or something.
You know, you just got to put feelers out there because you don't know who's going to say. So I did send maybe like 5 or 6 invites. And somebody else did. Do you know the UK Packer fan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I invited him, and I was actually gonna have both on, not at the same time, but since both of you responded, I was gonna have both people on. But with the time difference and the work and everything,
it's tough.
It ended up like Friday night is like 2:00 in the morning for him or something like that.
Right.
I'm at work.
I didn't think about that dynamic. I bet it's hard for him to collaborate with people.
Oh, 100%. And I tried to do it on Saturday morning, but then he said he has his, I don't know. He was busy. It just didn't work out. Both sides. It was not one or the other. But I was appreciative that whenever somebody responds, I'm like, sweet, thank you. Did you do it with Ed Oliver?
I did work with him. We were in a group together. I never actually collaborated with him.
I saw him following you on Twitter.
Oh,
so
yeah. No. I had to think about it for a second. We were in this big YouTube like collaboration group. Kind of just fizzled out. But, yeah, we were both in that.
Oh, okay. So who was the other person that had you on the channel then?
What's that?
Remember? I was saying, who was the other person that had you on the channel?
What is his name? He's got a big podcast. It's just a name, not Washington anything. Ali something maybe?
Ali.
Hold up. I got this.
Al Galdi? No.
Yeah, Al Galdi. There you go.
It is Al Galdi. There you go.
Yep.
Sweet. Yeah, he's a big radio voice out here.
I noticed that, yeah.
I used to, at least.
You mentioned his bona fides, and I'm like, well, you don't got to brag to me, dude. I'll show up anywhere.
That's cool. Cool. All right, sweet. So, okay, we already got through the very important question of Aaron Rodgers. And then I did want to go through a little bit and just kind of get an idea here, because I know it's getting more towards the middle of the season, so the offseason's kind of getting forgotten. But I still just wanted to be curious. How worried were you as a fan going into this year that Aaron was not going to be the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers?
I just kept going back and forth. It was, 1 minute, on draft day, it was like, dude, he might be gone. Like, I don't know what's going on. This is kind of freaking me out. And then, then I just vacillated back and forth between he's definitely staying, he's just doing this because he's trying to get money, and then he'd say something and be like, I don't know, dude. He kind of seems like he's happy out there being a hippie in Hawaii, just strumming his guitar, singing horribly. Maybe he's into it. I don't know what's going on. He's got a new lady friend. Maybe she's like football stupid, and he's like, yeah, whatever you say. Oh, what's going on, man? It's a weird situation, and he's just kind of doing whatever he feels like at this point. And then I'm sitting here thinking, if I had his amount of money, why would I be so desperate to come back and like get my face smashed in by defensive linemen? I don't think I would be. So maybe he wouldn't come back. So I don't know, man. It's a weird situation. He did end up coming back, obviously, and now I'm doing that whole thing with the question is he coming back next year? And I'm doing the same thing. Like, I don't think he's coming back. And then the next minute it's like, he kind of seems like he wants to come back. So I guess I'm just trying to keep my head down and not think about it.
Fair enough. Does the fan base and you, do you guys like Jordan Love?
I would say most don't. So the fan base is pretty split between supporting Rodgers and supporting the team. But when it comes to Jordan Love, you've got the people that support Rodgers hate Love. But then even the people that maybe aren't exactly on Rodgers' side, you still have a group of people that are like, yeah, but he's still trash. We shouldn't have picked him. We should have got some wide receiver, or we should have got something. We shouldn't have got a quarterback. So there's a very small percentage of people that I tend to be, and not that I think he's going to be great. Maybe he will. I don't know. But I trust their process. I think they do a good job of drafting. And if on their board they said, hey, this guy's got potential to be a great quarterback, he just needs to sit a while. He's sitting behind one of the all-time greats. We'll see what happens. I'm completely fine with that. But I would say, if I had to put a number on it, like 70% of the fan base is skeptical to furious about Jordan Love.
Well, yeah, I do love to talk about for the Packers that arguably your two best players the season prior were your running back and your quarterback. In the first and second round, you drafted a quarterback and a running back.
We definitely talked about that. I mean, that whole draft was just... It was picking guys that nobody wanted in terms of position, but also everybody was like, well, they picked him like 70 picks early. So everybody was a reach, and everybody was a position that nobody wanted. I'm glad A.J. Dillon is doing well now, and we'll see what everybody else does. But that is... People wanted Brian Gutekunst fired after that one, like instantly.
Especially since you are a team that's right there on the cusp. Like,
right.
Adding a few more key pieces. Yeah.
And then the other thing is we brought back Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm excited we got Aaron Jones, but at the same time, it's like you're making yourself look stupid here because, if Aaron Jones leaves, then it's like, hey, now I get it, right? A.J. Dillon, he's going to take over. He's the freight train. He fits the system a little bit better, and you don't pay running backs again. So now we can all get it. Then you pay him again, and it's like, dude, I've been trying to defend you for months. I have been trying desperately to defend you, and you just kick me right in the teeth, and now I don't know what to do. So I don't know. I don't know what to say.
It is.
But then Aaron Jones does well, and it's like, well, awesome, great decision, but at the same time, why'd you get A.J. Dillon? I don't get it.
100%. Yeah, I'm definitely on board. You don't pay running backs at all, and we have a third round because they're a dime a dozen. Like who?
Oh yeah.
How many teams in the NFL don't have a running back?
Aaron Jones was a 5th round pick.
Yeah, exactly. Ours is a 3rd round pick, right?
Yeah.
Like Alvin Kamara was a 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
I think. There's so many good running backs late that even Myles Gaskin is maybe the worst starting one, and I still don't mind Myles Gaskin.
Right.
In Miami, personally, obviously, I think he's one of the worst starting running backs in there. Maybe Mike Davis for Atlanta, and then they have Cordero Patterson. I don't know. So I'm totally in agreement with you on that one. Do you like that Aaron Rodgers goes on the Pat McAfee show? It kind of gives you a little insight on his thought. Like, I would be curious to see more of my quarterback, but what do you think about him going on the Pat McAfee show quite often? Every Tuesday, I think.
Yeah, I do like it because, the coach speak at the podium gets to be a little old sometimes, and you're always trying to read between the tea leaves and try to figure out what they're trying to say, and then you kind of get into conspiracy theory territory, like, did you see how he looked at the camera at this moment, and he talked about this guy, but not the... You're doing all this nonsense trying to make... And all those guys are doing is going up there because they have to. They don't want to talk to you, so they're just giving you garbage, and we're just, as podcasters and YouTubers, like, trying to make news out of something that... There's not much there. So, yeah, for him to just kick back and be like, here's what I think. This guy's, a freaking loser, and that guy's a jerk, and I hate that guy. And it's like, wow, this is the exact opposite of what we're used to getting. It's a little weird, but yeah, I'll take it, man. I'll take, honesty is great. And that's the other thing is, if he really thinks something, he'll just say it on that show. So he's kind of at that point in his career where he doesn't care anymore. So at least we get honesty out of him.
Fair, yeah, I agree. I like it also. Like it is, and I'm not even a Packer fan,
right?
But it's definitely interesting. And as you said, he's one of the all-time greats. Which I completely agree. I don't think there's any dispute. So you're also getting that while they're playing. You're not hearing like some retired great quarterback coming in and saying things. It's like he is in this thing and contending for a title. And yet you get some more of this insight. So yeah, I completely agree. I think it's pretty cool. And of course, him and that AJ Hawk camaraderie, because they used to play together, and AJ Hawk just asks the most pointed questions. Who cares? So yeah, it's kind of fun.
Hawk is weird to me in that show, but it's all right. I like Hawk.
Yeah, he's the complete opposite of Pat, right? He
is. He's very quiet. He smokes his cigar, and he looks really uncomfortable.
There you go. All right, you guys obviously have a lot of old Redskins coach or Washington coaches. And one that I'm curious how you feel about, because I'm not going to lie, I despised him when he was in Washington. Do you like Joe Barry, the defensive coordinator?
I don't even think a lot of Packer fans like Joe Barry yet. I mean, the only good thing is it hasn't been terrible. But, I mean, I don't know if you get this too, but in my position, whenever the Packers do something people don't like, I have to hear about it nonstop, over and over. Gutekunst should be fired for hiring. LaFleur should be hired for this is a travesty. Look at his track record. And again, like, I don't know how to defend it, but at the same time, the only thought process I have is everything you're saying, they know. They know he sucked everywhere he goes. So... Again, let's just give it a chance and see for some reason. I mean, I get it. To be honest, it's actually very similar to the Matt LaFleur hire. Matt LaFleur got hired because he understands what they want. Like, I want to move in this direction offensively, and this guy knows better than anyone, so let's see how it goes. But at the same time, he was just in Tennessee. That was his first time running an offense, and Tennessee somehow got worse. They went from like 25th to 28th, and they're like, oh, let's hire him. And I'm sitting here like, that's bad idea. That sounds stupid. I don't think we should do that. And look at what's happened. And so, I mean, that's the only real thought I can have is, look, sometimes people go places and it doesn't work. I mean, the other side of that is, what I always say to Packer fans in kind of a snarky way is, so what you want is somebody like Mike Pettin, who's really established, who's been good everywhere he goes, great track record. Is that what you want? Because that's what we had and it didn't work. Or how about we go get a guy like Mike McCarthy? That'd be great, right? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Oh, wait, we had him and we fired him because he sucked. So it's like, there's something that they want. Like, we want to run whether it's the Vic Fangio system or whatever, and he's just the guy that knows it. And so let's just let him implement it with the guys we have, and let's see how it goes. And so far, it's been pretty good considering our entire defense is decimated with injuries.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that. All right, well, now we're going to hop into the season so far for y'all. Before we do, though, just want to shout out everybody that's in here. Alex Dixon, what's up? Hassan Moore, Jared Taylor, Luz is in the chat. Here we go. Dean Jimmy here. Redskins Man 10, what's up, man? And Andrea Eastman. And Chris, what's up? Chris is my podcast partner on Wednesdays. Thanks for stopping on through, everybody. All right, sweet. So, season so far for y'all. Of course, you guys are now 5-1. You started off with that blowout loss to the Saints, which it seems like the Packers have one of those games every single year where all of a sudden they don't know how to play football. Mm-hmm. But then after that, now you guys are on a 5-game winning streak, beating up on the lowly Lions. Nail biter against the Niners on Sunday Night Football. We watched that game on the channel. Take care of the Steelers. Another nail biter versus the Bengals, where nobody wanted to make a field goal. Beat the Bears by 10. how do you feel about the season so far?
Well, you left out one important detail. We don't know how to play football against one team, and then that's the exact same team we play in the NFC Championship game. It was the 42 years ago that we just didn't show up for. We met them in the NFC Championship game. Tampa Bay was the one game that we just laid down for. Sure enough, we played Tampa Bay. So if you're looking to make a little bit of money, Packers-Saints, NFC Championship game, somehow Jameis Winston is going to go to the Super Bowl. I don't know how. I just know it's fate, and that's just what happened. But no, I'm feeling pretty good about it. The one thing that people that listen to my podcast are tired of hearing me talk about it, but the one thing the Packers have never really had, and it's I think the biggest reason we can't ever get to the Super Bowl, is they don't have that grit factor. Either we come in, we're just better than you, and we. Not to say it's never close, but we're just better than you, and we're playing well, and, it's close, whatever, probably the defense's fault, but Aaron Rodgers will figure it out. Or we're playing poorly, and everybody just goes, well, this sucks, better luck next week. And it's just, you can tell in the first quarter if you're going to win or lose. And if they're just not playing, the offensive line can't block, Aaron Rodgers is just playing, just for some reason, he can't figure anything out. It's just, you could just feel it in the air by halfway through the first quarter. It's like, well, this is going to be a terrible game. Mm-hmm. They found a way this year to kind of bounce back, and they've overcome adversity. Like you mentioned, a lot of these nail biters, these are games that they would have lost in previous games. The Cincinnati Bengals, even the Bears. The amount of times that teams have just driven down the field, the Packers offense can't do anything. Our defense can't stop the Bears, which is pathetic with their offense. And so you just panic, and it just sets in like, well, we're not going to win. But they've done a good job offensively and defensively to be able to do that. So they've got that grit factor. And the biggest hope is once we get healthy, you add the actual talent, you get closer to what we were in 2020 with that grit factor, and hopefully that'll get us over the hump into a Super Bowl this year and possibly even winning one. But at this point, let's focus on winning the game in front of us, I guess.
Fair. Yeah, so interesting. So it's a grit factor that you think has been, I just think it's because Evan McPherson can't make a field goal. No, I'm just kidding. But
I think Mason missed more.
McPherson too. I know. Didn't he miss like 4 in that game?
It was bad. Extra point too.
Jeez. Yeah, and I heard it was actually Pat McAfee on there. I think it was him that talked about like the coach, the special teams coach is like, yeah, he'll make it, and Aaron Rodgers is like, okay, you better, something along those lines.
Right.
It's like, imagine if he was like, I don't know, he's missed 5 today.
That's what I was thinking. They went out to actually like run a play, but they were just trying to get him to jump off just to see if they can get a free first down and keep trying. And when they went out there to line up, I was like, you know what? I totally get it. Just try to go get a touchdown. I don't even care. And then when Mason went back out, I was like, dude, that's 40-yarder or so. That's kind of a coin toss for me at this point, man. I think we should just throw a Hail Mary or something.
Yeah, maybe 30-70 at that game.
Right.
No, that's cool. I liked Evan McPherson coming out of college too, so I was sad to see him miss that one. And but he's still, I think, going to be a pretty good kicker for years to come. But we'll see. All right, cool. We are we're kind of reeling now in our season. We're 2-4. We fought hard in the Chargers game to an extent. Our defense was Swiss cheese, but we only lost by 4. Then we somehow squeezed by the Giants with an offsides call. Talk about a game where both teams were just trying to lose. Then you had I should have pulled up my schedule now all of a sudden.
Buffalo Bills.
The Bills took care of us big time. Josh Allen was a freak. Then we beat the Falcons, where our young quarterback threw 3 interceptions that somehow were all dropped. So that was cool. But, hey, I'll take a victory. Then, of course, it was the Saints, the Chiefs, and now we're here against the Packers. And somehow our defense actually is playing a little bit better. We'll get more into that. But yet at the same time, we're still giving up way too many points. But, all right, cool. On to the Packers versus Washington preview. I like to get an outsider's opinion whenever we start this. What is your outsider's opinion on Washington?
I think mostly I'm just kind of confused. I didn't really look at Washington until this week, and my thought was, well, they've got a good defense, and they're going to have a good defensive line. They got those big Alabama boys all over the place, so that's going to be tough. But hopefully their offense isn't very good. And then, like you said, I looked at the statistics, and I had to hit refresh a couple times. I'm like, how in the world are they dead last in points and I think first in yards? I'm kind of stunned by that. And then I got the Magic PFF subscription. I looked at it. The defensive line actually looks kind of good. I mean, you guys are one of the top teams in pressures, not necessarily sacks. They haven't converted a ton of sacks. But, obviously there's other issues, corner, linebacker, safety, pretty much everything but defensive line. But still, it's like it still seems like it shouldn't be that bad. So part of me is a little bit hesitant to come into this all rah-rah, especially with the Packers possibly maybe putting their guard down. We've got a Thursday night game against Arizona, so you wonder, are they going to be a little not focused on this game, a little bit more focused on that game, especially since the one way you beat the Packers is with your defensive line. That's what the 49ers did. That's what Tampa does. You don't allow the relief valve of the run game, and if you can bring pressure on Aaron Rodgers, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory. If you can't run and you can't pass, you're in trouble. But it's beyond that because Aaron Rodgers starts to go into panic mode. The passes aren't very crisp. He's making bad decisions. He kind of freaks out a little bit. So there's a little part of me that's like, because to be honest, this was the Saints. This is the same thing. I'm like, dude, their corners are trash these days. They got a good linebacker, but the safety, I mean, they got like two good pass rushers. Their interior defensive line is beyond a joke. So I got this. We'll be fine. The only problem would be if like their two pass rushers just wreak havoc on us and our offense collapses and our defense can't do anything. But what are the odds that happened? It's exactly what happened. And again, they got two guys on the defensive line that could play. Nobody on the interior. You guys got, from end to end, maybe not quite reaching the potential outside of, what is it, Allen? Is he the one that's going off right now?
Jonathan Allen's great. I love Jonathan Allen. Yep.
Yeah.
Jonathan's good. Yep.
So, but again, it's still like, okay, so Chase isn't quite where he needs to be, but he can be. And who's to say this isn't the game where he's like, you know what, I'm just going to go freaking nuts and just terrorize everybody. So I'm excited and I'm hopeful that this is not a nail biter like every Green Bay Packers game and they win by like 40 because that never happens, but it'd be nice. But there's also a part of me that's like, the Packers are going to get the ball and it's going to be an incomplete pass, a sack, and it's like, oh no, what do we do? This is really happening, isn't it?
Well,
this is not going to be good.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter because even if we stuff you for a 2-yard loss, sack you for a -6, we give up 3rd and 18s at like a 95% rate. So it doesn't like you can be.
I did notice that.
That it does by a mile, and yet somehow we will find. Well, last week we were at 3rd and 10, and Montez Sweat jumps off sides. Chase Young jumps off sides. Back to back.
Yep.
Boom. Let's move the sticks. They ended up getting the first down anyway. But even if they didn't complete the second pass, then it's like, okay, we jump off sides twice to give them a 3rd and 10.
It's funny you mentioned that because Packer fans know exactly what that pain is like because when we had Dom Capers, I would rather be in 3rd and 2 than 3rd and 20. Because I guarantee you they're going to convert a 3rd and 20 every single time because they're going to rush 2, maybe 3 if they're feeling a little freaky. But it doesn't matter because he's going to have 5 minutes in the pocket. Somebody's going to find a spot in the zone, and they're going to convert. It was the worst thing ever. I'm dead serious. When it was 3rd and long, I just gave up. I'm like, just give it to them. 3rd and 2, we might have a shot because if they run it, maybe they'll get lucky and stop them. But, it's brutal.
Yeah, a lot of defensive coordinators do that. I don't understand it. That why rush 3 on 3rd and 18? I'm rushing 5, 6, 7.
Right.
Like
it's been working.
Get after them. Yeah, they get and press them. Who cares if they completed a little screen pass or something?
Right.
You have 20 yards to tackle them. If you can't tackle them, you ain't stopping them anyway. Who cares at this
Packers
point?
started doing that against the Bears, and it was driving me nuts, partially because I talked so much trash about Justin Fields and how it's been any good. But it's like you rush 2, somebody is going to come open, and they did. He had 13 seconds in the pocket. Somebody's wide open 15 yards down the field, and he completes a pass, and it's like, oh, great. Here come the Bears fans talking about, did you see that throw? Did you see that throw? But anyways, so that was annoying.
Fair enough.
Justin Fields is trash.
You don't like Justin Fields?
I did until he became a Bear.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. I get it. I get what you're saying now. Okay, because I did like Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields. I wanted to trade up for him, but of course the Bears did instead because right where we would have probably traded up, we had Dallas, Eagles, Giants.
Oh, right.
Right in the range of a trade up, it's NFC East, NFC East, NFC East.
Yeah.
So it's like once pick 9 came around and Denver took Patrick Surtain, it's like, well, hopefully he's there at 13 because we're not getting picks 10, 11, 12. It's just not happening. So anyway, cool. All right. What scares you the most about the Washington football team? What's the one thing that you look at Washington football team and it scares you the most?
Well, it's the defensive line. I mean, I don't know exactly who it's going to be, but the Packers' offensive line is reeling a little bit. There's a lot of injuries, a lot of shuffling around, and again, when the Packers can't play, it's because they can't block a good defensive line. And I know the Washington's again not really been what you want them to be, but they have the talent. It's the same guys that have been good for a long time. So they're never going to figure it out. I don't want to risk that.
No, you did go into the PFF stuff, and that is true because obviously I watch every single game of we do get pressure.
Yeah.
And I just think about one play in particular was against Buffalo. Kendall Fuller was in the slot against Emmanuel Sanders, and he was starting 7 yards off the ball. Starting 7 yards off. And I think it was like 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10.
Yeah. Classic.
Emmanuel Sanders just runs directly at him. Kendall Fuller stands there and just turns his body as Emmanuel Sanders runs right by him. And then he's like, oh, crap. And then Daron Payne is diving at Josh Allen. Diving at him. And Josh Allen just throws a little rainbow, and Emmanuel Sanders is like 5 yards open. I'm like, there's no double move. Right. There's no fanciness. You were starting 7 yards off the ball, and yet you just got beat by a streak. How is that possible?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you defend against, and yet somehow it completes.
I did wonder about that when I was looking at it. I'm thinking, one thing that'll stifle a good defensive line is nobody else doing their job. I mean, if the pressure's coming and I can, because I got 5 guys out there and 4 of them are open, you're not going to get to the quarterback. It's just not going to happen. So the other thing going in your favor is outside of Devontae Adams, there hasn't been a ton of production, but it's good enough to where it's like he'll get his little dump offs here and there just to kind of stifle that pass rush. I'm hoping that continues, but that does kind of make sense what you're saying. I was wondering if maybe that's part of the problem.
Yeah, and one more example, and then we can continue, is on 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 2, one of those, 3rd and short. I'm not kidding against Atlanta. Every corner started 7 to 8 yards off the ball.
Yeah.
And off hike backed up. He had 4 receivers wide open past the sticks. 4. And he just picked the one right in front of him. But all 4 were open. Yeah. I'm like, how is that a defensive call?
That was Mike Pettin last year. That was we didn't know who to be mad at, Mike Pettin or Kevin King, because it was always Kevin King. But it was the same thing. It'd be 3rd and 2 and he's 8 yards off, and it's like,
yeah.
That had to have been the defensive call, because why would he do that? But at the same time, why would that ever be a defensive call? Yeah. I mean, I understand if you press him, he might be able to get behind you, which he shouldn't because you're very fast. That's kind of part of the reason you're supposed to be good at football, even though he's not. But you're conceding a first down. I understand you might give up a big play, but you're just laying down? You're just going to give him a first down? I don't understand that mentality.
And one more, it's like, okay, you start 7, 8 yards off the ball, but if your first step is attack, like, okay, like I'm going to try to bait them. Like, all right, I'm going to start, and then, like, as soon as they call hike, and if he tries to get, like, throw it quick, I'm going to run up and get him. No, all of our guys, and it wasn't one guy making a mistake, so it was the call. It was all 4, like, DBs off the ball, and every single one of them, their first step was backwards. I wanted to
3rd and 2, I guarantee you. This is 4 verts right here.
It's unbelievable. I can't imagine.
They're going to try to trick us, but we're not falling for it.
Yeah, I guess, like, whatever. You take your poison where you can, I guess, right? And anyway, so of course, I'm going to answer the questions also of what scares you most about Green Bay. It's obvious. It's clearly Kevin King. You have to get past Kevin King to beat it's Aaron Rodgers.
King Island.
Yeah, King Island. Yeah.
I'm the first person to ever say that phrase, by the way.
Right where you want to be. Book your tickets to King Island. And, that play for you guys, I felt so bad for you guys against the before the half.
I mean, when you were talking about how could you just stand there and let him run past you all got was flashbacks to Kevin King just watching the guy go right by him.
Scotty
it's
Miller,
like, dude,
right?
we're going into halftime. Like, it's over. This is not happening right now. Just, oh my God. The only thing he could do is go for it. I don't want to. It's fine. We'll move on.
He didn't defend the sideline and the end zone. The only two
I don't know what he thought he was doing.
Yeah, he defended the center of the field when you needed to defend the sideline and the end zone. It was crazy. Anyway, as you said, let's move forward. All right. To you, the most interesting matchup going into this game, it could be a player versus player, position versus position, whatever you think the most interesting matchup is going into this game.
Assuming Elton Jenkins plays, he's been a real big piece for us. I don't even know where he's going to play because I don't know who else is playing and who's not playing. He might be a tackle, but and I think we're losing our center. But let's just say, even though they're probably not even going to see each other, it would be nice if Elton Jenkins goes up against Jonathan Allen on the inside. I don't think that'll happen. He'll probably be more on the outside, but he's a guy that we trust. He's a guy that we like. Everybody else is a rookie and is very young and inexperienced, and it would be nice if he is on the inside to be able to go toe-to-toe with him and to see how that shakes out.
I just like this comment. He likes to give me a hard time about Troy Apke. Don't forget Troy Apke is the key. Anyway, I don't even know if you know who Troy Apke is, but
no.
I hope you don't learn Troy Apke this week. All right, I hope you don't hear that name. Unless if it was on special teams, because apparently, according to our coach, he's an elite special teamers player.
As a Packer fan, let me tell you, that's important. Don't underrate special teams. Everybody hates on it until you have one of the worst special teams units in the history of football, and then all of a sudden you appreciate it.
Yeah, because he's a terrible safety, and like he takes the worst angles. He can't cover. He's faster than Blaze. You may remember him. Do you remember the Deion Sanders clip of the white dude that's running the 40-yard dash, and he's like, "Oh, he can run."
I don't know.
Okay, it's pretty funny if you go look at the combine, and it's because Troy Apke I think ran like a 4.35 or something like that as a tall skinny white kid, and
that's crazy.
Like,
that's like a 4.21 for a black dude.
Yeah, exactly. So he was hiking it, and that's Deion Sanders had a funny reaction to that one, but no. Anyway. I usually try to come up with something different than you guys say, but I think it is the most interesting one of our D-line versus your kind of beat-up O-line to an extent, because, of course, Bakhtiari, Josh Myers is out. So it's a beat-up O-line for you guys, and our D-line has had some semblance of maybe they're figuring it out. Like, Chase Young is not just the entire time running past the tackle up to 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage and leaving that wide-open gap for the quarterback.
Right.
Like he's starting to try to actually collapse the pocket a little bit, and maybe we can start to figure out, oh wait, we need to get to the quarterback, not just get offs. That's just all they're good at right now, get offs. And it's so frustrating to watch because Chase Young is a one-trick pony right now. Like there's no, I mean, I guess you could say two, I guess if you want to say, but he's just basically like bull rush, speed. Bull rush.
That's Rashawn Gary right now. It's the same thing.
Yeah, Rashawn Gary from Michigan. Yeah, exactly. Like that's. But Rashawn Gary, I think was he first round pick or second round pick for you guys?
He's first.
First, but he's not the number 2 overall.
No,
right?
he's
like,
absolutely not. And nobody liked the pick, so we didn't have high expectations.
Yeah, everybody, the Predator. We're getting the best defensive end in football ever, the best prospect coming out ever, or whatever. Like all these things people say, and I'm like. I think it's a great pick too. Everybody thought it was a great pick, and yeah, it's a one. I've been saying it since we drafted him originally. I just want him to sit there and watch Dwight Freeney highlights. Just go learn that spin move.
Right.
Sit there and watch Dwight Freeney, and you could be the best pass rusher in the entire league. I mean, Myles Garrett last night was doing the spin moves, trying to get to the quarterback. Like that's what you have to learn if you want to be one of the best defensive ends in football. But anyway.
Especially when your one thing is speed. Everybody knows you're just going to try to run past me. All right, well, when he oversets, what do? I don't know. I mean, I'm not a coach, but it seems pretty intuitive to me. You inside, you bull rush inside, you do something to the inside.
Yeah, we like to joke. I always forget this dude's name, but our defensive line coach has to be the worst coach in history.
Yeah.
You literally have 4 first-round picks in your position group, most position coaches just want one. Can I get one? Can I get one first rounder? He has 4.
Yep.
And yet
4 in a row too, right? Isn't it like 17, 18, 19, 20? Yeah.
Yep, all of them
Crazy.
young, all of them. Jonathan Allen just got paid, but yeah. But technically, this is his 5th year of his rookie deal. So yeah, all of them on their rookie deals, and yet he seems to can't figure it out. So anyway, give me an offensive and defensive player to look out for really?
Was that my stomach? What am I hearing right now?
Sorry, that's my puppy. Stop. Go lay down. Anyway, all right. So, offensive, defensive player for the Packers, and this could be maybe somebody that people don't really know of, and you think maybe could step up in a somewhat interesting way, or it could be a player that people know of, but you think maybe having a big game like a player to watch out for coming in on Sunday.
I guess I got to pick which direction I want to go. Somebody you guys know or somebody you don't. I would say, like I kind of mentioned before, there are a lot of other guys that have had a lot of success in the past that just haven't really gotten going yet. And at some point, they're going to have a big day. You know, Randall Cobb had one real big day. That was kind of cool. But you got to watch for guys like Allen Lazard and Robert Tonyan. Those are 2 guys, tight end Tonyan, wide receiver Allen Lazard. Every once in a while, they get these big games once every 3 or 4 weeks. They just kind of take over, and they're the main reason you win. And neither of them have had that. Tonyan has been really, really subpar, but both of them have lost to Aaron Rodgers. And even last week, you saw he tried to force one in. It was very frustrating. He had a guy open in the flat, probably could have got a first down. He decided to force it to Tonyan because he just trusts him. You know, if I throw it to you, you're going to catch it. He's got great hands, and it went through his hands. So, eventually one of those guys is going to kick off. I wouldn't be surprised if none of them, because Devontae is setting just a record-setting pace right now, and just force feed him. And I don't care, just if it's working, do it. But it would be something to keep an eye on, because every once in a while you take all your attention on Devontae, and they're just force feeding guys like Lazard or Tonyan.
Mm-hmm. I love Robert Tonyan, and
yeah.
I drafted him in a couple leagues. Of course, that's been a disappointment,
Horrible.
like you said, because it's not showing up in the fantasy numbers. But he is actually really he has what I want to say, like attributes, like good speed, good size. Like he's actually kind of close to like a George Kittle build, that he could actually be a top-notch tight end. But of course, that hasn't panned out. And he had 11 touchdowns last year. So I thought,
that was his big thing last year. His big claim to fame was the touchdowns, which I've always been a little iffy on him because it was a little inflated because of all the touchdowns. He was very sporadic, but I would take sporadic right now at this point.
Over non-existent.
Exactly.
True. Do you have I may have missed. Did you say a defensive player?
I didn't.
Well? Okay, no worries. Go ahead.
I guess I'll just be stupid and say Whitney Merciless.
Okay.
I don't actually know how much he's going to play. We did just pick him up. I'm hoping he can contribute a little bit.
Not Jalen Ramsey? Not Jalen Ramsey.
What's that?
Jalen Smith? Not Jalen Smith?
No, don't worry about Jalen Smith. Don't worry about that little guy. No, I mean, look, the Joe Barry, he's a linebacker guy, and he's done a great job with Devondre Campbell, so I'm kind of hoping maybe they can unlock something with him. But, I saw some of the Packers on Twitter do recaps and everything else of what he was doing, and it sounded very similar to what you heard over in Dallas. He's got all the athletic attributes. He just doesn't know what he's doing. He's just lost. The mental part of the game, he doesn't get it. He's fast. You can see it. He's jumping around, but it's like, dude, stop moving and just go to the right spot, right? You don't need to jump to different spots. Go to the right one and tackle the guy. But he's lost, and who knows? Maybe he'll figure it out. But it ain't gonna be this week.
You're talking about Smith?
Jalen Smith, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Anyway, I was like, oh, is he talking about Merciless or Smith? Because Smith is definitely a physical and fast linebacker. Oh yeah. But I understand what you're saying with because it doesn't seem like he's very good in coverage, is what it seemed like everybody was saying.
Yeah, he just lost. He doesn't know what he's doing out there.
Mine for Washington, the offensive player I'm going to bring up today is J.D. McKissick. I think J.D. McKissick is a guy that a lot of people are underrating throughout the league on, but our starting running back may not play. Oh, I forgot to completely go into injuries in this one. Sorry. Anyway, our starting running back might not play, And even if he does play, he's a great third down back, and he could be used in some key situations. So I'd say J.D. McKissic on the offensive side, and the defensive side is Landon Collins. He finally has been told, you suck at safety. And maybe we'll see what actually happens on Sunday. But we stink in the linebacker room. I'm interested to see Landon Collins up near the line of scrimmage as one of our linebackers. Can he fill the holes better than our current linebackers? Can he cover Aaron Jones out of the backfield, maybe stick him with him in the flats? I don't. If Aaron Jones goes deeper than 5 yards, Aaron Jones is going to win every single time. But I'm curious if he'll at least stay with him underneath. And I'm very interested in how Landon Collins plays this week in particular, because Ron Rivera finally stepped on his toes. Well, since I forgot to do it, let's go ahead and just go into it right now, because I know you brought it up earlier with the injuries in this game. Of course, you don't have David Bakhtiari, your great left tackle. Josh Myers is out right now. Jair Alexander's been on IR for a few weeks now. Kevin King is unquestionable. That's not good for us. We want him to play. Preston Smith is questionable. Darnell Savage from Maryland. I like that pick because a UMD fan over here. But he's questionable right now. And, of course, Dennis Kelly as well. So do you have any insight? Is Darnell Savage, Preston Smith, Kevin King, are they looking good to play or not? And
Yeah,
also, how do you feel about those
Preston's kind of leaning a little bit more. I mean, you're kind of looking at it too, but he was upgraded to questionable. Darnell Savage has had 2 weeks that he's been able to play, and Kevin King has been upgraded to questionable as well. So it looks like Josh Myers, our center, and Dennis Kelly for sure are out. Relatively optimistic about the other guy, but you got to assume 1 or 2 might not go.
Fair enough. Yep, for us, we got Antonio Gibson, who apparently is looking like he should be able to play. We've also lost the right side of our offensive line for the last couple of weeks with Sam Cosme and Brandon Sheriff. But I like our backups there, and we've actually been a solid – that's been like the only bright spot on this team is that offensive line. They've played really well. Of course, I love Terry McLaurin too, but the offensive line's played great. Cam Sims and Curtis Samuel, 2 of our wide receivers, are out. And William Jackson right now is questionable, and he can't cover his soul. So whether he plays or not is kind of irrelevant, it seems like, at this point. But that's our injury list. And, yeah, we'll see how that plans out.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed. Or I guess it would be it's hard to tell from my perspective. Like I said, all I can really do is glance at PFF and see what they had to say. So I was interested to hear you say that because they've actually given really high grades to those guys that have come in and filled in on the right side of that offensive line. And so I was kind of I don't want to say I was disappointed, but I was a little disappointed. You always like the backup to come in and just be trash, but no, from what I can see, they came in and played real well.
They were
I think the right tackle hasn't played very much yet, so it's kind of smaller sample size, and then the right guard.
He was our starting left tackle last year.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
And then Wes Switzer was our starting left guard. So
gotcha.
Basically, our right side of the line was our left side of the line last year. And
gotcha.
So I actually wasn't worried at all when they were coming. And I liked our offensive line going in because I think PFF had us rated the 6th best O-line last season.
Yeah.
Last year. So then we added a couple more pieces, kept those other ones. So with them stepping in, I wasn't too worried about it, and so far it's shown that I should not have been worried about it.
Yeah, no, and that's the other thing I noticed is statistically they haven't given up very much. As far as pressures and everything else, it's been extremely low, and that was another thing that kind of disappointed me that I wasn't really expecting, but that's all right. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, that's like the only bright spot on this team so far.
It's the other thing that kind of confused me, too, because, again, I'm looking at the defensive line. I'm looking at the offensive line. I feel like there should be a little bit more production than there's been. So I'm confused at what exactly the problem is. You got time to throw. You should be able to have some holes to run through. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's the difference between Aaron Rodgers and Taylor Heineke.
Fair enough. I get it.
Heineke, he can be fun to watch. He's got a little, he says his favorite player is Brett Favre. Right, he grew up a Packer fan with his dad and everything, so
nice.
He watched a lot of Brett Favre. But he just doesn't have the cannon that Brett Favre has, right? So
could be dangerous too.
Yeah, well, exactly. As I said, he threw 3 interceptions against Atlanta, and they were all dropped. I think he's thrown a couple more even these last 2 weeks. He could have. This guy easily could have 9 touchdowns and 12 interceptions right now if things were caught. But right now, as we sit, he's at, I think, 9-6. So 9 touchdowns and 6 interceptions right now. And so he can be fun to watch. He's got great energy. He's got the good ability to move and run and get first downs. And he's not a bad quarterback. I think he's an awesome backup. Like, awesome.
Sure.
Backup. He can come in a pinch and really provide a spark off the bench. But that's the main thing, and that's the key offseason move for really any team, of course, is find your quarterback. But obviously, for us, we need to find a quarterback, which, easier said than done, clearly. But that's the main
kind of made me think of Gardner Minshew a little bit. There's a ton of hype about him. He's a lot of fun to watch, and people kind of were shocked at first at how good he was doing. Like, there's something here, and then as time went on, it's like, maybe not. Still like him, but he's probably not going to be a starting franchise quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel about Heineke, and I was excited for him coming in just to see, because the one thing that we saw in the Tampa game last year and the end of the Carolina game last year was accuracy. Mm-hmm. I think it was like 26 out of 27 throws were on target.
Yeah.
For Taylor Heineke. So if he brings that throughout, I don't care if your arm strength is phenomenal. Like, look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady doesn't have the strongest arm in the league, but he's accurate as all get out, and he just picks you apart. So that's kind of what is one of my hopes with Heineke and his ability to run. But now he's starting to lose that accuracy. He's starting to lose, or he never really had, but he not really understanding how to read the defense. Even though he's a smart guy, but he just doesn't have the experience yet in reading and understanding where I need to go and where I need to pick the defense apart. He doesn't get that yet. So that's the main problem with our offense. And a lot of other people, if you just ask them, our offensive coordinator sucks. But I think he's called.
Fair enough.
I think he's called a fine game. Like, he's not the next great offensive mind by any stretch of the imagination, but he's calling an offense that can win. If Aaron Rodgers was our quarterback and he called the same offense, we would be phenomenal, I think.
Well, play your cards right. We'll see what happens next year.
Exactly. That's
with Aaron Rodgers, I meant.
That's the Washington mantra. Is what happened next year. We'll see what happens next year, right? Yeah. All right, cool. 5 keys to victory. For
the Packers, you want me to do?
For the Packers, yes, and I'll do Washington. If you want time to think about it, I could go first, or if you want to go, you could go as well.
Let's spitball it here.
Okay.
Protect Aaron Rodgers, number 1. Establish the run is number 2. The Packers always, probably most teams do, but they always are in a real good groove when they're getting chunks. And they haven't really done that a ton this year. The stats are fine, but usually it's a real slow start. And then at the very end, when everybody's super tired and whatever, they start getting a couple chunks here and there. But if they can do that throughout the game, that would be pretty beneficial. And, again, it's just hard to stop once you get that going. Find somebody else outside of Devontae, like I mentioned, whether it's Lazard, whoever the case may be.
Don't worry, you will.
Yeah, so number 4, I'm going to say pressure. These are probably pretty generic that you want in every team, every game.
You're fine, yeah.
Again, with that offensive line, you mentioned how Heineke's struggling a little bit. But again, like I said with Justin Fields, you give him time in the pocket, especially with our hurt corners and everything else, somebody's going to come open, and it doesn't matter who it is. If he's an NFL quarterback, he can throw a ball to a guy standing there 15 yards down the field. There has to be some level of pressure put on the quarterback in order to get him to make those mistakes and those rash decisions and turn into Brett Favre, just gunslinging it all over the field. If you're not doing that, he's not just going to gift, well, he might maybe gift one, but you can't just expect him to gift you interceptions if you're not going to earn it a little bit. And then I guess finally I'll say the coverage. We don't have Jair. We might not have Kevin King. Those guys they've done a good job of not being lockdown corners but not really giving up anything big. They got to continue to do that. It's fine. If you're going to give up the dink and dunk 5 yards here and there and then go tackle them, I'll tolerate that all day long. It's a little frustrating, especially when, like you mentioned, playing off. And it's like, dude, just stand by him for crying out loud. But I'll take it. As long as they're not getting behind you for 45, I'm good with that. So there's my 5.
There you go. Not bad. Okay. Before I go into my 5, how do you like Eric Stokes, the first-round pick from Georgia?
I think he's done fine. When he first started off, he was just fantastic. I think like week 1 was really, really good. Even week 2, he had a ton of pass breakups and everything. PFF has really started to dog him quite a bit. one of those touchdowns that the head coach had already come out and said it wasn't his fault, it was Kevin King's fault, go figure. But that's going to kind of drag him down a little bit. But again, sometimes he gets picked on. He gives up a couple passes here and there, and he's just a couple yards off and he goes and tackles. It's kind of annoying, but again, it's you want it to be a little bit better, but I'm fine with where he's at right now. The closing speed is evident. He is a 4.3 guy. He's unbelievably fast.
Super fast.
He hasn't let anybody get behind him yet, which again, that's the Kevin King thing, right? He just lets everybody go behind him all the time. If you can just keep everything in front of you, do a good job tackling when he gets there, and keep up those pass breakups. He does a good job of getting an arm in there, breaking up a couple of those. He does have a pick in the game. He might, every once in a while he's kind of looks like he's trying to bait the quarterback a little bit, which is cool. Don't get too carried away with it, but he's growing, he's learning, and Jair didn't break out until year 3. So people that are panicking about Stokes giving up a couple passes in Green Bay and among Packer fans are being silly.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Trayvon Diggs is an example. Just this last year, he wasn't that great. Now he has 7 interceptions or something crazy. So yeah.
By the way, I tried to tell Dallas Cowboys fans that he wasn't that good last year, and oh my goodness, I didn't realize how much they loved that guy. I thought they wouldn't like him because he was making, but that was my bad.
Well, that's just Dallas Cowboys, sir.
I understand.
They don't know anything. No, all right. Cool. All right, so here's my 5 keys to victory to beat the Packers. And you could look at the Saints game, right? But the key 1 through 5 is bounty gate Aaron Rodgers at all costs. Just take him out, and I don't care. We're already a crappy franchise, right? Nobody thinks well of Washington. We're pieces of crap. Just take out Aaron Rodgers, and then you win the football. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so that was a mean one. All right, here we go. The real 5 keys to victory.
I thought that was a solid number 1. All right.
Yeah, no, that was 1 through 5. That was just
okay.
That was 1 through 5.
Still solid.
Yeah, game over. That's all you need. All right, here we go. You could obviously just look at the Saints game. Here we go. Make them one-dimensional. I really like Aaron Jones, and he is I don't know why Mike McCarthy could never figure out how to use him, because he was like a 5.5 yard carry running back as your backup to Jason Williams at all people. But anyway, got to make him one-dimensional. I know it sounds weird to put the ball in Aaron Rodgers' hands, but you got to, because if you give him a run game, the play action, back shoulder Devontae, it's over.
Yep.
All right. Number 2, control the time of possession. We have to run the football. The Saints ran 39 times compared to only 20 throws. And it's not even like Alvin Kamara really did that much in the run game. I think he was just barely over 4 yards a carry, 20 carries, 83 yards or something like that. It's not like you need to gash. Just got to control that time of possession. Number 3, you have to be on point. We all know Aaron Rodgers loves to get you to jump off sides, loves to get 12 men on the field. We got to substitute. We got to be right on the coaches, and we got to be on point. Don't just give them free yards because Aaron Rodgers beats you. And it's just frustrating because I know he's done it to us way too many times. I think about the playoff game. All right, number 4, no turnovers. The Saints had 0 turnovers in that football game. Jameis Winston had 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. They didn't fumble the ball at all. You can't give them extra opportunities. Taylor Heineke's got to protect the football. Freaking Antonio Gibson needs to not fumble. In 2 of our losses, he's fumbled this year. Got to protect the football. And then the last one is going to sound stupid. Score touchdowns. Don't let Chris Blewett come in, and we have to rely on Chris Blewett. All right, we just signed a new kicker. Never kicked in an NFL game. The last time we saw him kick in a game at all, he was 58% on field goals. Don't rely on Chris Blewett, because I'm not going to make the joke. All right.
Oh, I was gonna. All right. Apparently that's an overused joke, so I'll leave it alone.
No, you can say whatever you want to.
I will say this though.
I thought it was a funnier way of not saying it than actually saying it. But then there I go thinking again.
I'm not creative enough, so somebody else can figure that out. I will say though, as far as that last point, the Packers have not had a red zone stop all year. Not one.
Really?
This is actually a broken record. It's never happened this late in the season. 0 red zones. I don't even know what the number is anymore. I think it was like 15, 16 last week, and then I think there were maybe 2 more that we didn't stop. So they have not had one red zone stop. So get to the 20, get yourself 7 points.
Okay, well, get ready for that record to be broken. It'll be when you're having problems, come to Washington.
There you go.
We're healers of everybody else in the NFL.
It's a get right game.
Yeah, it seems like that every week. All right, score predictions for this game. Do you want me to go first? You got it.
You go first.
All right, I have Washington 42-6. No, Green Bay Packers 31-17. We can't hold anybody to under 20 points. This defense, especially the secondary. I'm hoping. I like to be what I call a realist. I root for him every single week, and I will gladly be wrong. But I got the Packers 31-17.
Yeah, I hate that you picked that number because it makes me not want to pick that number. But that's kind of where I'm at.
If that's where you're at, go for it.
I'm just going to say 30-17. That's twice so far we've held teams to 17 points, once to 14 points. They've done a good job of actually keeping the points low. 17 I just don't want to say 14 because it's such an unattainable thing unless you're playing the Bears, in which case it's understandable. But, I think 30-14 is a pretty reasonable expectation.
30-17, right? Doesn't matter. But no.
30-17 is mine.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. What is your outlook, and then we'll end it here. What is your outlook on the remainder of your season? How do you feel the Packers are going to do throughout? What's kind of your record prediction now at this point, and where do you think they could go?
Well, we're kind of headed toward the gauntlet of our season right now. I hate to act like Washington doesn't matter because obviously it does. And I mean, to be completely honest, I remember it was a couple years ago we were in a similar situation. I want to say it was week 3 or 4 or whatever, and we were after Washington. It was a real tough part of our schedule, so it's like we have to win this one because that's where you're going to have your losses. We lost, and that was painful.
I was at that game.
Again, I'm hoping that isn't the case. We got Arizona, at Kansas City, Seattle. I don't know what they are anymore. The Vikings, believe it or not, is probably going to be a tough game. Then we got the Rams. So, I mean, that's a heck of a stretch. I still think, I don't know if we have 3 losses again like we have had the last several seasons, but if we can be kind of in the 5-loss territory, we're still in playoff range, and I think it'll be a pretty good season. But, again, it's been exciting, and they've found ways to overcome, but what have they overcome so far? The 49ers, who are not as good as everyone said they were going to be, the Bengals, who are kind of iffy, the Detroit Lions, who are trash, the Steelers, whose offense is embarrassing, and the Bears, who are just generally embarrassing. So, I mean, they got some real tests, and we got to see what they've got in the next coming weeks.
For sure. Yeah, Washington is going to just have a rough year because I know you just mentioned your rough part of the schedule. Yeah, so ours started, you could say, against the Saints. But Saints, Chiefs, Packers, Denver, Tampa Bay, Carolina, Seattle, Raiders.
Yep.
Ouch. I know at one point we were the second hardest schedule, according to record, behind the Giants, who are number 1. But yeah, we're in the thick of it, and it's not getting any easier with Aaron Rodgers. We already fought. Again, we already played Aaron Rodgers 2.0 last week, and now we got the real thing with Aaron Rodgers real. So it's gonna be tough. And I said 9-8 going into the year. At this point, I think I'm lowering it to maybe 7-10 range if our defense starts to put some things together. But of course, we have Dallas twice still. And then the Eagles, they're not a very good football team, but it's a division game, and then we end with the Giants. So we really don't necessarily have a quote-unquote easy game on the schedule unless you talk about the Russell Wilson-less Seattle Seahawks. So It's going to be tough. And he shouldn't be back by then. Cross our fingers. All right.
I don't want to. I feel like every time I make a point, I'm sounding condescending, like we're the great Packers and you guys are the lowly Redskins. But I do remember a couple times the Packers were bad in my lifetime in the last 30 years. And I will say the one nice thing about it is you kind of have this mentality of maybe we could win this game. Like, we're not supposed to, but what if we did? That'd be great. And it was exciting because once in a while they win, and it's just the most exciting thing, and it's great. Being a Packer fan, you kind of get to the point where it's like, please just don't lose. Like, just don't. So if they win, it's just like, oh, thank you. You almost lost that, you idiot. And then if they lose, it's like, how could you lose? This is the worst thing. You know what I mean? It's never like, yay, we won. It's either thank you for not sucking or why did you suck? So it's hard to get out of that mode and just celebrate. Like, hey, that's a good football team that won a game.
Yeah, no, and I actually remember that 2018 game you were talking about. That was the Alex Smith game. I was at that game. It was a rainy day, and it was a nasty, grindy game, and it was the perfect game for us because that's what we needed. We were a run-first team at that time with Alex Smith and Adrian Peterson, and, of course, you guys had Aaron Rodgers, so we were able to slow down that run that we talked about. And, yeah, it was a tough win for us on a 6-3 start, and then, of course, we all know what happened to Alex Smith, and then that's basically how we look every year.
That's how we get here.
And that's just how we do it. You know, that's Washington in a nutshell. But thank you so much, Ryan, for coming on the channel. It was a lot of fun. Do you have any? You want to shout yourself out where you could find you, or and then anything else that you want to say before we roll out?
Yeah, if you guys are interested in checking out some Packers stuff, you can check out the Packernet podcast. I know there's at least one Packer fan in here, so I hope you check that out. You can Twitter if you feel like it, Pack_Daddy, but that's unnecessary. Feel free if you want to. But yeah, I mean, if you just want to check out Packers news, especially this week, Packernet podcast. I do 7 days a week.
Wow. So you
except tomorrow, I'm taking the day off. But every other day, I do it.
You take the day off before the Washington game.
The weird thing is nobody listens on the weekends, I've noticed. The numbers are terrible. Oh, yeah. So if you're going to take a day off, I don't know what YouTube is, but podcasts, I think people listen on the way to work a lot. And on the weekend, they're just busy. So if I take a day off, it's going to be a Saturday.
No, Yep, completely agree. Because that's when I put my headphones in at work and I listen to things all day long. So that's exactly what a lot of people do is they listen on the work days and when they can do their mindless stuff or they just do whatever they're doing, getting in their rhythm, they just plug something in and just check it out. So it's great. Yeah, I completely agree with that. But awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for everybody else in the chat. Badis Fatfa's here. Spoiled. Asan. Let's see. 07 was here. What's up, man? I'm not trying to read people twice. Jared Taylor. Who else is in here? Red Wings 01. OKG 2000. What's up, Chris? YouTube Gabriel. I don't know if I've seen you before, so thank you for stopping by. And thanks for everybody for being here. And again, thank you, Ryan. And we're going to get out of here. And good luck to Washington, 42-6. Washington wins. And until next time, see ya!